Most men believe that being good is a virtue, but there is a truth that is rarely spoken. A man who is too good is not admired, he is used. Observe calmly. In environments where power dictates destinies, excessive kindness is interpreted as weakness. It doesn't matter what your intentions are. The world reads your posture before it hears your voice. And when you try to please, you give yourself away. When you try to be understood, you become predictable. And when you seek approval, you disappear. The cruelty of life is simple. No one respects what is always available. There is a silent, ancient, and unsettling law. Machiavelli knew her. The strong apply it instinctively. The weak reject her because she demands coldness. You will hear it today. And perhaps he will realize that his kindness was the first blow against his own power. Kindness, when offered indiscriminately, is not seen as a virtue. It's interpreted as a sign that you don't understand the game. A man who is too good moves quickly to help, quickly to give in, quickly to please. This rhythm reveals something he doesn't realize. He is willing to sacrifice his energy to maintain a peace that only he values. And the world observes this with clinical precision. Someone who gives everything without resistance shows that there is nothing non-negotiable within them. And those who have no borders also have no defined value. It dissolves into the environment like spilled water, useful, but never remembered. Excessive kindness creates an illusion of security. You imagine you are building alliances. In fact, he is training others to ignore his presence. The more you give, the less space it occupies. The more you try to be agreeable, the less respect you receive. There is an implicit law operating behind this. It doesn't depend on morality, but on perception. In any hierarchy, work, relationships, social groups, a man's worth is measured by the difficulty of access he imposes. A man who is too available destroys his own aura before he even opens his mouth. Kindness without resistance conveys a silent message. My time is available. My attention is cheap. My presence can be interrupted. And when others internalize this, you lose authority without conflict. There are no shouts, no confrontations, only the slow erosion of its power. Observe how people treat those who don't know how to say no. They ask for more. They demand more. They crossed boundaries that he didn't even realize he had crossed. And when they finally wake up to the abuse, they are already fully integrated into the role of resource, not of individual. Excessive kindness does not attract reciprocity. It attracts discrete social predators, people who operate out of convenience, not respect. They approach her vulnerable silence, not her good intentions, and it is at this point that the law reveals itself. Kindness only has power when it is born from choice, not from need. It stems from control, not from the fear of losing. A man who is too good never chooses. He just reacts. And those who react always occupy the lowest rung of the hierarchy. Respect doesn't come from what you offer. It is born from what you retain. Most men fail because they confuse being respected with being accepted. And when seeking acceptance, one renounces the most valuable element of any social dynamic, the distance. The world works through contrast. What is rare dominates what is abundant. What is silent controls what speaks too much. And what is difficult to access shapes the behavior of those who try to get close. That's the cruel rule. It doesn't need to be said. It operates in the depths of human psychology. When you diminish your own presence, people act carelessly. When you protect them, they adjust their own behavior. Respect is not a feeling. It is an involuntary reorganization of another's behavior in response to their internal structure. Observe how this happens in everyday life. When a man responds immediately, allows for interruptions, explains himself in detail, or tries to anticipate the other person's discomfort, he is communicating soft submission, nothing explicit, but noticeable, and everything that is perceptible is exploitable. A man who controls the rhythm of his own presence alters the atmosphere without raising his voice. He speaks less. Delivery is low. Choose what is worth your energy. And above all, it doesn't react too quickly. This slowing down creates tension, and tension, when not accompanied by anxiety, transforms into authority. This is how the cruel rule works. Whoever controls their own availability dictates the hierarchy. People are starting to measure their words. They start thinking before asking for something. They begin to adjust their own tone. Not because you instilled fear, but that's because you removed the unrestricted access you previously offered without realizing it. Machiavelli knew that power lies not in what is said, but in what is denied, in what is outdated, in what is kept silent. And Nietzsche observed that the man who does not exhaust himself rises above it. The one who conserves energy becomes more intense. Distance creates density, and density commands respect. Sun Tzu completed this triangle by teaching that high ground is gained through posture, not attack. The cruel rule is exactly that, a high psychological terrain. When you give too much of yourself away, you lower yourself to the same level as everyone else. When you restrict, you naturally rise, and those below look up, always with more caution than affection. Respect is born there, the height you build within yourself before the world sees it. Invisibility doesn't happen all at once. It forms in layers like dust accumulating on someone who has stopped being aware of themselves. The invisible man doesn't disappear because he is weak. He disappears because he tries to be agreeable before being noticed. He believes that presence stems from good intentions, when in reality it stems from the silent imposition of boundaries. The anatomy of invisibility begins when you get ahead of yourself, when someone answers before thinking, when you agree before evaluating, when it gives in before being tested. These small gestures create a narrative around you, a narrative of predictability, and everything that is predictable loses density. In any social setting, there is an implicit hierarchy, not of positions but of attention. Those who control their own energy attract attention. Those who give it away indiscriminately fade into the background. This is how invisibility takes hold, not with strategic silence but with excessive availability. At work, it shows up when her opinions are ignored even when they are correct. When you speak and the environment doesn't react. When your ideas need to be repeated by someone else in order to be seen. It's not a direct attack. It's the disinterest that arises from the absence of tension. In relationships, invisibility arises when your presence is taken for granted, when your messages are read without urgency, when your gestures lose meaning because you offer more than is necessary. Those who reveal everything don't create any mystery. Those who don't create mystery don't create value. In social groups, it manifests itself when its entry into the environment does not change anything. No rhythm, not even posture, no expectations. You're there, but you don't weigh anything. And a man who weighs nothing does not exist. The root of this is simple. You try to be understood before you are noticed. Try to please before establishing your presence. Try to connect before being seen as someone worth the effort of connecting. Invisibility is the end result of automatic kindness, a type of kindness that dissolves your image and transforms you into a neutral background. And while you continue to offer more, attention, help, time, the world only confirms your inferior position in the unspoken hierarchy. The anatomy of the invisible man is the anatomy of the man who never demands anything, that never pauses, that never creates contrast. And without contrast, there is no respect. Without respect, there is no way. And without form, you are just another body passing through the environment without causing any reorganization around you. Transformation doesn't begin with force. It starts with containment. The impenetrable man is not the one who demonstrates power. It is the one who does not waver. It creates a gravitational field around it, because nothing inside it is in dispute. No reaction is automatic. Not a single word is wasted. The first stage of this construction is simple, yet brutal. Reduce emotional leakage. Most people talk too much, explain too much, and feel too much in front of those who don't deserve access to their inner selves. Impenetrability arises when you restrict that. When your emotions stop being displayed like merchandise in an open shop window. The second stage is controlled silence. Not the silence of those who fear to speak, but the silence of those who evaluate. Observe before responding. Delay the impulse. Allow the environment to reveal its intentions while you remain still. This calculated emptiness creates discomfort in others and stability within you. The third step is posture, not just physical, but hierarchical. The impenetrable man does not incline himself to be accepted. He maintains his presence as a fixed point. People adapt to what's around them. This phenomenon occurs not because he is aggressive, but because his energy is not bent. The fourth step is mastering your own rhythm. Haste is a sign of dependency. Strategic slowness is a sign of sovereignty. Speak slowly, move slowly, decide slowly. Every action communicates that you are not being pulled along by your surroundings. You shape it. The fifth step is eliminating the need for an immediate response. The impenetrable man does not react to prove anything. He observes in order to decide. And when he decides, he acts with precision. This level of precision is frightening for those who live in constant distraction. The sixth step is building the secret. Not in a dramatic sense, but in a structural sense. No one needs to know about your inner world. No one needs to know your plans. The absence of exposure creates density, and density creates respect. Finally, impenetrability requires a silent commitment, to be guided by strategy, never by impulse. This means that what you do has a reason, and what you avoid also has a reason. Every action is a message. All absences too. When you reach that state, something changes. People start to measure their words more carefully. They start observing you before approaching. They come to recognize, without fully understanding, that there are invisible boundaries that cannot be violated. The impenetrable man does not dominate by what he displays, but by what he withholds. Its strength lies not in expansion, but in restraint. And it is this restraint that makes it inevitable. The cruel rule is not a theory. She is behavior. And its power becomes apparent when you take it to environments where people test limits without realizing it. The first arena is work. That's where most men lose authority because they try to appear cooperative. A man who talks too much gives himself away. Those who react too quickly lose ground. The application is simple. Control access to your attention. When someone interrupts you, don't respond impulsively. Let the air take over the space. Then, slowly turn your gaze back. This interval reorganizes the dynamics. He communicates that his presence cannot be treated as a disposable interruption. When speaking, offer only what is necessary. No lengthy explanations, no justifications. Conciseness is a weapon. Those who speak less become harder to decipher, and what is difficult to decipher is not attacked. The second arena is the main attraction. Many men try to win someone over by demonstrating availability. This makes them common. What creates magnetism is not constant proximity, but calculated distance. When you hold back your energy, the other person has to interpret gestures that aren't obvious. And interpretation creates value. Don't reply immediately. Don't offer your routine. Don't open your mind. Let the other person feel your absence before they receive your presence. The cruel rule teaches that in the psychology of attraction, explicit interest kills the mystery, and mystery sustains desire. Coldness is not a lack of emotion. It's a protection of your core. The third arena is social status. Groups always test who is too malleable. The man who laughs at everything, participates in everything, and explains himself to everyone becomes the weakest link, even when he is the most intelligent. Here, the protocol is different. You control the rhythm of the environment by controlling your participation in it. Come in without rushing. Speak only when the silence around you is already looking at you. And when you go out without explaining anything. This unexpected withdrawal creates an absence that is difficult to ignore. Strategic absence is a tool of power as powerful as presence. She makes people realize that their energy is not a collective resource, it's private territory. In any of these arenas, the rule is the same. Do not grant unrestricted access. A man's worth increases when he sets the price for his own presence, and the price is measured in distance, pace, and silence. The cruel rule boils down to this: the less you offer, the more respect you receive. The more control you have over your availability, the more the world adjusts to your schedule. And when the world adjusts to your time, you cease to be a participant. It becomes the central point. The most stable power is not the one that is displayed. It is what moves without making a sound. The man who possesses it doesn't need to demonstrate strength. He simply creates a field where others adjust their own posture. Silent power begins with how you occupy space, not with volume but with density. There are men who enter a room and nothing changes. Others come in, and without saying a word, the rhythm changes. That's not charisma, it's internal control. He who masters himself alters the geometry around him. The dynamic is simple. People observe signs of self-restraint. They perceive the absence of haste, the absence of explanation, the absence of anxiety, and that absence weighs heavily. Silence is not emptiness, it is territory. The silent man does not compete, he observes. He understands that whoever speaks first gives up their own center, while whoever listens first gains an advantage. Silence gives time. Time is power. Whoever controls the response time controls the framing of the conversation. This man doesn't shrink from tension either. Most people fill the discomfort with useless words. The silent man sustains it. And by supporting it, he assumes the superior position in the invisible hierarchy. Tension is the social currency. Whoever tolerates her, leads. Whoever tries to dispel it, follows. The hidden strength of this type of power lies in the fact that it cannot be directly challenged. He is not aggressive enough to warrant an attack, nor passive enough to be ignored. He exists in a zone where any movement against him seems excessive, and anything that seems exaggerated loses its legitimacy. Machiavelli described this phenomenon by stating that a wise prince should be loved from afar and feared in silence. Nietzsche interpreted it as the presence of a high spirit, one that does not need to prove its superiority because it is already implicit in its posture. Sun Tzu called it positional advantage, victory before the confrontation. Silent power works because it reorganizes the other without touching them. When you don't react to provocations, the emotional responsibility falls back on the person who tried to provoke you. When you don't justify yourself, the other person feels compelled to fill the void. When you speak little, each word carries more weight. Little substance, much gravity. Ultimately, this is the central dynamic. The silent man does not seek respect. He commands it through the way he exists. And when you become that kind of presence, nobody tries to cross your boundaries because nobody knows where they end. Becoming impenetrable comes at a cost, and it is this cost that deters most men before they even take the first step. The transformation doesn't cost money. It charges something more valuable, the renunciation of the version of oneself that sought acceptance. The first price is giving up the need to be understood. The man accustomed to justifying every gesture feels the loss of this crutch as if he were betraying his own identity. But understanding this is essential. The old you was shaped by the expectations of others. He cannot survive inside a man who seeks power. The second price is the disruption of emotional comfort. Being too good offered a sense of security, a false social shield. When you peel back that layer, a void emerges, not of fragility, but of independence. And independence frightens those who have always lived trapped in the gaze of others. The third price is strategic solitude. Not loneliness through abandonment, but loneliness by choice. Transformation requires silence, and it requires distancing oneself from environments where one's former identity was celebrated because it was useful. Many will try to recapture the you they once knew, not out of concern, but because the older version was easier to manipulate. The fourth price is the constant tension between what you feel and what you allow the world to see. The impenetrable man does not repress emotions, he contains them. Restraint is an internal discipline, not a social mask. It prevents impulses from destroying its structure. Maintaining this structure on a daily basis requires composure, observation, and self-control. The fifth price is the loss of certain ties. Some people will not survive their inner ascent. They depended on his automatic kindness, his thoughtless yes. When you interrupt that flow, they reveal what they always were: consumers of its energy, not allies of its presence. The sixth price is the weight of responsibility. When you become difficult to reach, every action you take carries more significance. You can no longer act on impulse. You can no longer speak to fill the silence. Every word becomes a sentence. Every gesture, a territory. And then there's the final price. You can never go back to being who you were. Consciousness cannot be unlearned. And after you've seen the game, there's no way you can pretend you didn't see it. The transformation is not comfortable, but comfort is precisely what kept him captivated. You've spent your life trying to be seen for your kindness. Now you understand that respect comes from what you retain, not from what you offer. Then observe in silence. At what times was his kindness merely disguised fear? And how many times have you become invisible because you didn't dare to be impenetrable?